There are artists and there are others of us, and some of the others of us do love art, says a scientist and an inventor with more than 10 patents filed to his credit, an artist who likes to sketch during meetings and conferences.
People often ask me if there is a relation between science and art. I think that there is a huge relation because both of them are creative pursuits which address different aspects of existence. I find it very relaxing to do art, in particular sitting in conferences, and I'm able to concentrate, in fact, better on what the speaker is saying when I make sketches. Now, one of the reasons for that may be that you shut down the internal dialogue that is always taking you away from the lecture. Whatever it is, there is certainly a deep connection between all forms of art which are creative and science, because in science often one has to think out of box, one has to connect dots which have not been connected before, and all of that requires out of box thinking.
Born on 22nd August 1961 in Ajmer, Rajasthan, Professor Sharma completed his B.Tech from the prestigious IIT Kanpur in 1982 and his MS from the Pennsylvania State University in 1984. He then received his PhD from the State University of New York at Buffalo in 1988 while working with Professor Eli Rackenstein, a recipient of the US Medal of Science.
But during my PhD until 1987, I was working on colloids and surfaces which are precursors of nanotechnology in a sense. Once I came back to IIT Kanpur in 1990, I could see that biomedical research was not possible at that time there because of not having animal facilities, not having graduate students with engineering background who could work on those problems. At which point my group started to work on theoretical aspects of soft condensed matter, in particular related to confined systems like very thin coatings or thin films. So we were looking at very significant problems there, which also are related later on to nanotechnology. Now, until then, the experimental aspects of nanotechnology were not very prominent in my group. In fact, the whole push on nanotechnology in India started by a nano mission launched by DST in mid-2000. At which point it made sense to say, look, this is a very exciting area with huge potential in the future, and I had the background which could directly relate to nanotechnology aspects. At which time also a lot of new resources became available to do nanotechnology. And so the important point was to jump into this very new area at the right time.
His contributions are highly interdisciplinary, spanning a wide range in nanotechnology, thin polymer films, nanocomposites, and devices in energy, health, and environment. He is the founding coordinator of Government of India's Department of Science and Technology, and at present, he is the department's secretary.
Professor Ashutosh Sharma joined the department about 3 years ago, and in this he's made a major dent in the activities of the department. He was the architect of a program called Nidhi. Nidhi means National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovations. This is a major initiative that we have taken to promote innovations, startups and entrepreneurship in the country. And during Professor Sharma's tenure in the last 3 years, the program which was earlier at X level has been raised to 5X level in the last 3 years.
DST is an extraordinary department. It connects with all of science and scientists in a 360-degree way. It connects very strongly with the entire science and technology ecosystem of the country. It helps generating new basic knowledge, fundamental knowledge, which is essential for developing the society, the new applications, is essential for the health of our industry, is essential for bringing in knowledge-based innovations in the society and for solving societal problems. So DST looks out for the areas that need to be strengthened, that needs to be seeded before in fact the society feels the full impact of those areas.
He's one who is extremely polite, extremely nice, and always is so easy to get along. The most important thing is Ashutosh would be one of those finest examples, not only in IIT Kanpur but in the whole country, as one who has achieved almost everything one can aspire for in the field of science and technology. Name any award, any fellowship. He's a fellow of all the academies in India. He's fellow of the World Academy of Sciences. He's Engineering Science Prize winner of TWAS. He's also recipient of the Infosys Prize. Name anything, Bhatnagar Prize. He has won everything. But on the other hand, he's one of the most polite person one can find in the whole profession. He's already a distinguished alumnus awardee of IIT Kanpur, and as a teacher, as a scientist, as a researcher, as a supervisor, as an institution builder, he has made enormous contribution to IIT Kanpur as well as the overall science and technology field in the country.
We have been able to pick up several awards during his tenure which we had never got earlier, and we have been able to launch such massive new programs where we will be able to reach out to actually each and every nook and corner of India, which we were not doing earlier. Our attempts had been sporadic, our attempts had been very irregular and also ad hoc basis, but now we work with purpose. Primarily that percolates down from the Honorable Prime Minister's vision, which we are translating through him and through his vision and through his leadership and stewardship to ensure that the India that we will leave for our next generation will be India we'll be proud of.
While celebrating his achievements as a scientist, it is equally vital that his family receive equal importance for being the backbone of his success.
So we have been married since 1985. In fact, a year and a half after I started my PhD. So it's been a very stable family life for me. I was rather young when we got married, I think about 24 years old. And then, you know, there was a whole of this PhD in front of me and so on, an uncertain future. Anyway, I think it was very good because when I got married, I had explained to my wife that I'm going to spend the rest of my life in India. So if you have any problems with that, then don't get married, right? So there was a good understanding about what our future would be, a shared future in India. Things back in early 90s when I came to Kanpur were not easy. I mean, personal life was a struggle. We had no cooking gas for about 3 years. Other people said, well, you can get cooking gas if you pay up a little bit extra. But I didn't want to do that because, well, then you knock off somebody who is in line before you. That would not be right. So we lived without a gas, believe it or not, without cooking gas for 3 years, cooking in solar cooker and microwave. But that was good part of our life. You see, so family understanding is extremely important. Many people would get very disheartened and say, oh, you know, it's not possible to live like that. And so clearly, if you have that tension, if you are not resolved, that personal tension, it would reflect in your work. And it happens to many times, it happens to a whole lot of us. We have not taken LTC in last 10 years. Did my wife complain? Of course she complains. But did we fight about it? No. And so that's the kind of support family provides.
We've been married for more than 32 years. So I feel we have grown up together and been through mostly good times. Then over the years we have seen a lot of changes in our lives. In that, when we got married, he was a student and then, you know, spent a few years in the US. Then you come back to Kanpur, which again is another story with lots of, it has its own things which are difficult or not so difficult or interesting in any case, and learning curve also. And we've spent, so we have been through that and learned to live with each other.
Achievers like Professor Sharma should always be celebrated and awarded. A painter, researcher, scholar, a versatile personality, Professor Ashutosh Sharma.